Welcome back to the channel, and today I'm diving into an asus Strix 4080 Super that I paid $500 US for. That's right, $500 US for, which makes it pretty cheap and definitely worthwhile, and we'll talk about that in just a sec. Now, looking on the eBay, the prices for that card goes anywhere from $1,000 to $1,400, of course, depending on the condition, how used it is, and all that type of stuff. But for $500, that was a great deal. Now, I am currently using a RTX 3090 Ti, and that's been a great card, and I really wasn't planning on upgrading, but money is money, and hear me out. What I paid for the Strix 4080 and what I can sell my 3090 Ti for, I'm pretty much paying myself to have a better graphics card. And we'll see that in today's video, how much performance I'm gaining and what I'm losing. And what I mean by losing is I'm going from 24 gigs of VRAM to 16 gigs of VRAM. Am I really gonna feel it? We'll see. Now, the 3090 Ti has been a great card for me. I've been using it ever since it first came out. I don't remember exactly when it first came out, but I bought it, and I bought it actually really cheap. It was like on one of those Amazon flash sales. I paid $800 for it, brand new, maybe $900, but I think it's like $800 or $900 for a brand new. And it's been a solid card. I've had no issues with it. And I know a lot of people have their concerns with Zotac, but I've never had a Zotac card go bad on me. I've had EVGA cards, a bunch of those go bad on me, and I've had a bunch of Strix Asus cards. I've had one go bad on me, but I've never had a Zotac. And I've had a 2070, a 1070, and even some of their earlier models. So it's been good to me. Now, in a previous video, when the 40 series first came out, I had did a video saying I'm skipping this generation, which I pretty much did, sort of. The 4060 that I got from my ITX build, I got that used and cheap. I mean, like dirt cheap. I think I paid like $200 for it. That's also been a great card. Now, this 4080 Super, it is used, it is older, and I got it cheap for $500, which to me, I would say I'm skipping this 40 series, and in fact that I'm not going out and buying these things brand new. And that's actually my plan moving forward, especially with the 50 series when another generation comes out. I like buying used, folks. Number one, if you refurbish them, you can really get some more life out of them, just putting fresh thermal paste and thermal pads on it. As long as you're getting one that's in good working condition and they can verify that it works. And I got a bunch of videos that talk about refurbishing them, cleaning them up and everything, so you can definitely check that out if you're interested. So we'll get into how I got it for $500 dirt cheap, and this is something that you guys can do, and it's a great, and there's also a resource that I use that you guys could also go and check out. So I'll talk about that just a little bit later in the video, but for now, first things first, let's take a look at this card and also get my 3090 Ti out of my rig. All right, so this is the card, asus RG Strix RTX 4080 Super, 16 gigs VRAM, and I got this for Silver Knights PC. So now they were selling this for $999.99, and before you go out and say, oh man, they gave you a discount and that's how you did it, this, that, and the other, they did give me a good, a little 5% discount first responder. In case you guys don't know, there's a video on that. I used to be a police officer. But anyways, moving on, so I did get 5% off of that. But the reason why I got this thing so cheap was because they take in trades of used hardware. I've had a bunch of hardware lately that I've gotten in as far as buying used PC parts and all that type of stuff, and cannibalizing PCs and all that type of stuff, and the parts that I didn't have use for but still did have value, and the fact that I already made my money getting these parts, I brought it to them, they took them as in trade, they gave me store credit for it, and that came out to roughly $500, and I was able to get this for $500, which is a great deal. Now, what makes this even a better deal is the 3090 Ti, and I'll post on the screen, is selling for $800 to $1,000, which is pretty decent. Yes, I'm probably giving up some VRAM, some future stuff, but the simple fact of the matter is that this 3090 Ti, I could sell it for probably easy, because I have it complete with the box and everything, for about $900 eBay price, and I've actually had a couple of people reach out to me for $800 for it, so I pretty much got paid $300 to get this card. So it's a little bit of my tricks about it, and I'll talk more about it at the end of the video, so stay tuned so I can kind of go more in depth into that. But anyways, back to the card. Now, this is one of their refurbished ones. Like I said, they take stuff in as trade, they refurbish the cards, all that type of good stuff. And in this, which is pretty awesome, it's a Facebook group that you could go check out. So if you're on Facebook, definitely go check them out. So I got one of those stickers in there. This is their logos, which I think is pretty cool. They give you a bunch of different styles on that. So that's actually pretty nice. I don't know if they do that in all their cards, but this is the first refurbished card I bought for them. Usually I buy new ones. We do have the anti-sag stand, which is nice. The power connector adapter, which is pretty cool. And this is the fun part. I gotta take this thing out, and this thing is so heavy. Yep, heavy for sure. And here we are. This thing is like in mint condition. One little scratch right over there, but not too bad. And like I said, by the time I sell the other card, $300 for this, still a great deal that, you know, I made $300 doing that type of stuff. And that is the key, folks. I mean, if you hold on to something long enough, it's not going to be worth much, but if you're able to kind of flip it during the right times and all that type of stuff, you can actually get paid for upgrades. And that's usually my goal in this channel. So speaking to the guy that I dealt with that sold me the card, they said they already tested this on the bench. They cleaned everything out, and I mean, the temperatures were perfect on that, which that's pretty awesome. That's pretty cool. But I think what I'm going to go ahead and do is just change the thermal paste. It's not a new card, and even though it's working great, it could work better. Obviously, the tamper screw you can see right over there has not been tampered with. So let's open it up. So for taking this thing apart, I think this has to come off. This is the top plate. So there's a bunch of screws over here. Nope, that's not the right one. I can't stress this enough. If you're going to take out these screws and it starts like slipping, find a bit that's works. Yep, that feels a lot better. Now let's just double check, make sure you got everything out over here. This should just pop up, maybe. Okay. The thermal pads are still intact. Let's just kind of get that reposition where it's supposed to be. But looks good. Now we need to take these off, and there's a bunch of screws for this front I/O plate. I didn't realize it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wow, that's pretty cool. Let's get these out, which I think these are a smaller bit. Yep. And this is the always fun part where you need to separate the card, and sometimes it gets like really glued with the pads and the paste. Plastic pry tool works really good at helping to kind of help separate it easy and evenly. Now all the screws are out, so it's just a matter of gently breaking that bond, nice and easy. And as far as our thermal paste, it's a little dry, not too bad, but I'm sure we could do better, maybe get an extra degree or two. Now our thermal pads look good, nothing's moved out of position, they still feel spongy, very clean, so maybe this card didn't get a lot of use. Don't know the story behind it, but I mean, everything looks really encouraging. But let's get off this thermal paste. Brand new. Now same thing for our card. Let's get this off. Spray a little isopropyl alcohol. Wipe everything nice and clean. And I get asked all the time, do I need to take off all the thermal paste on the side? Get as much as you can. That's usually my advice. Obviously, that's the important part, but the other stuff, I mean, try to do as good as you can. You got to be careful. If you get too rough, you could break all those little things on it. So use common sense, let's say that. And if you're not sure, don't do it. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put PTM 7950. Hopefully, I think I got one sheet left, and I got one shot to do it. And I'm not going to do it now in the garage because, number one, it's already 90 degrees Fahrenheit in the garage. It is hot, and that stuff, the minute it starts getting warm, it gets really hard to peel and all that type of stuff. I already got it in the freezer cooling off, so I'm going to do this inside the house, off camera. When we come back, either we're going to be putting thermal paste on this, or the PTM 7950 worked great. Success. Nice. Getting a lot better at this. So key thing, make sure it's cool. And then number two, don't do it in the garage when it's like really hot. So, all right. Very happy with that. Now we need to put it back together. You know, that part. I will say, this is the easiest card I've worked on. That's one thing I've always enjoyed about the Strix. The Founders Editions are nightmares. Gigabyte are not too bad. I haven't worked on too many. The Zotac one is a little bit annoying, but I mean, Asus, if I say they do one thing right, they make their cards easy to work on. At least in my experience on the 20, 30, and 40 series. Did I have a Strix 10 in the 10 series too? Yeah. Alright, so I'm going to finish putting this thing back together off camera, and then we'll come back to getting the old card out. Alright, so did a bunch of work off camera. Card's put back together. Looks great. Nice and clean. I did just kind of run a brush through it and everything and just wiped it down. I think it was perfectly clean, so probably a little overkill. But anywho's, I went ahead and removed this graphics card, and I'm actually doing a separate video going more in depth on how to remove these graphics cards. I've learned a lot of tips and tricks along the way, so definitely let me know in the comments any other suggestions that you recommend, because everybody fights with it when you got this big massive cooler and this Chungus graphics card and you got the big meat digits and you really can't get in there to push that lever. So separate video on that, more in depth, and some updated suggestions, so stay tuned for that. But anyways, let's go ahead and let's pop this graphics card in this computer. Oh. You know, does this, will this fit? Oh man, will this not fit in this case? That would totally stink. I mean, it's just that angle. Oh, I think we got it. I think we got it. Oh, that was close. That was close. I think this is a little bigger than that Zotac. Oh, thank you. Thank you, thank you. Let's go ahead and at least get one screw in. And we're going to put this now, we got a little sag on the graphics card, so let's go ahead and use our anti-sag bracket. This one's pretty cool. Check this out. It's got a screwdriver. It's like the small flavor too, so I guess they want you to change the thermal paste and, you know, maintain your graphics card. Who knows? I think that should be fine. Now, last but not least, we need power. And of course, my cable's been trained to a different direction because Zotac puts this cable, so the connector on the Zotac one is on the bottom, so it's kind of a pain in the butt to get out. This one is that little tab right there. It's on the top, so that's nice. Easy upgrades. And yes, if you're wondering, I have plenty of power for this. This is a 1200 watt power supply, so it should work good. Well, cool. put together. Everything looks good. Glad I was able to put that PTM 7950. That was my really big goal in this, and I only had one strip left, so I was glad I was able to do that. I've put that stuff on my 3090 Ti and got some really good improvements on it. I've put it on my CPU. I put it on everything, and I've gotten some really good results. So happy that this graphics card could also get that type of treatment. So now I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna actually switch to some footage, gameplay of the 3090 Ti, 1440p, maxed out settings on these 4 games. No ray tracing, or maybe ray tracing on Shadow of the Tomb Raider. We'll see when that footage comes up. And none of that DLSS stuff. We're just gonna play the card raw as it is and see what the performance is. So I'm gonna switch to that and then show footage of this thing with the same settings after that. Normally I do it on the garage over here, but it is now 96 degrees Fahrenheit in the garage. I'm sweating, it is miserable. So let's play that footage and then we'll wrap this video up. So the 4080 Super performs really good. Very happy with it. About 20 to 30% performance increase depending on the games. My Cyberpunk benchmarks was a little bit off because I was a little inconsistent with the settings, but you get the point. It's going to perform better. It went from 113 to 116. I'm sure it'd be a little bit higher on that one, but it's a great card and I'm definitely happy with it. The other takeaway that I enjoy about it is so much quieter. 60 degrees Celsius. The fans not going 100%. A lot quieter, could barely hear them while gaming, and that's awesome. Now the 3090 Ti, 74 degrees Celsius, and the fans just ramp up. Now I have done new thermal pads, I've done PTM 7950, and I think like before I did all that, it was at 80, so I went to 74, so I did get some improvement on that. It's a hot card. But regardless, the one thing that I am excited about is the fact that the 4080 Super, the Strix, there's headroom for me to undervolt it and get it even cooler and quieter, maybe squeeze out a little bit of performance. So I'll tinker with that later on. Now you might be saying, well, you're giving up 24 gigs of VRAM. I mean, that just really depends on your needs and your use base. I game at 1440p. I don't do any of that fancy stuff. 24 gigs of VRAM would be better for like 4K, 8K, AI, and a whole bunch of other stuff. But for me, basic video editing for the YouTube and 1440p gaming, it works out good. Yes, I can use the 4080 Super at 4K and definitely get that experience, but I'm happy with what I'm using now. So it works out pretty good. And then the other part is the fact that it only cost me $500 to do it. And going back to talking about that a little bit, if you've been watching the channel and following my videos, I get on the Facebook Marketplace, I get on eBay, and I hunt down deals. And I'll buy pretty much anything as long as there's value and profits to be made. Junk computers, and I've done this, I've bought junk computers for $20, able to repurpose the case into another build, make money that way, part it out. There's always value for something. In fact, I've even gone as sold as Core 2 motherboards on eBay for about $60, $70 because remember, not everything is junk and something is worth something to somebody. Always keep that in mind. Somebody might need it, they'll pay for it. And that's the cool part about buying used, getting out onto Facebook, and flipping computer parts. Happy with my upgrade, glad to have it. And with all that being said, comment down below, let me know your thoughts, concerns, criticisms. Do you think it was a good idea going from a 4080 Super to a 3090 Ti? Let me know, folks. I still have it. I need to find out if I'm making a mistake. What are your thoughts on 24 gigs of VRAM versus 16 gigs of VRAM? Yes, you got some future proofing, but I mean, is it really needed right now? And buying used parts and flipping it, is it worth it? If you like this video, definitely hit the like button, subscribe if you're not, and as always, we'll see what we come up with next.